Hey everyone, how are you? Happy Friday, and thanks for joining me for another Friday edition of our Facebook Friday Live here at PN Lawyers. Today we have a very hard and sensitive topic, cyberbullying and bullying at school. What exactly is cyberbullying? Well, cyberbullying is harassment through a computer or phone. Almost half of all schools in the state have reported at least one instance of cyberbullying. And 52% of kids surveyed said they did not tell a parent when they were being cyberbullied. So, we have all heard stories of children getting bullied at school, okay? Some of the stories end with the family having to move. Some end with children switching schools or going to a private school or even being homeschooled. And there are some that have even unfortunately ended in the victim's suicide. And there was a an episode on one of my favorite shows, Ozark, where Wendy Bird's brother Ben is teaching a high school class. Ben is a substitute teacher in the show, okay? And during Ben's lecture as a substitute, one of the students gets a text. And soon, the phones are ringing throughout the class, and everyone's getting a text notification. The whole class is then staring at one of their classmates, who finally is the last one to get the text. And it's an image showing her, that classmate, in an intimate encounter. She is horrified, and all the kids in the classroom are snickering and laughing. Ben, the teacher, Wendy's brother, becomes enraged. He picks up a garbage pail and he demands and commands that all the students put their phones in the garbage pail. After Ben has all the students' phones in the garbage pail, he goes outside and he empties the phones into a wood chipper as the students look on in horror. Ben was fired on the show, okay? But the solution to the problem of him being bullied, it seems simple. Just let the parents take care of it. Well, I mean, forget that. That's just not a realistic option. Now, let's talk about a real case. This case arose out of the Beverly Vista School District, okay? The Beverly Vista School is a kindergarten to eighth grade school in Beverly Hills. We have Jane, an eighth grade girl. Jane videotaped a group of her friends talking smack about their classmate Cindy. The video shows the group of kids saying that Cindy was a spoiled slut. Jane goes home, uploads the video to YouTube, and then tells the classmates and tells Cindy of the video's existence on YouTube. Cindy begs Jane to take the video down. Cindy's mother tries contacting Jane's parents to assist, but no luck. Let the kids deal with it, they say, okay? Let them work it out. The next day, Cindy and her mother inform the school of the video's existence. Cindy meets with the school counselor to discuss how she feels humiliated by the video. The school's administrators, after viewing the video, they call Jane out of class, and they make her write a statement about the video. The administrators also demand that Jane delete the video from YouTube. After consulting with the school district's attorney, the principal suspends Jane for 2 days. Now the bully's parents get involved, but not like you think. Jane's parents sue the school, okay? The lawyers for the bully argue that the school had violated Jane's First Amendment rights and that they did not have the authority to discipline Jane over a video that was created and viewed off campus. So how did the court handle this? Well, the court characterized the issue in this case as whether a school can regulate student speech or expression that occurs outside of the school gates and is not connected to a school-sponsored event, but that subsequently makes its way onto campus, either by the speaker or by any other means. In other words, could the school discipline Jane for her video created outside of the school, using her own computer, her own phone, and her own internet connection? Well, the court ruled that while it was reasonably foreseeable that the video posted on a public website would be accessed on school grounds, the video did not cause a substantial or material disruption at the school itself, at least not enough to justify Jane's suspension. So, even though the school has the authority to punish students over an online video shared off campus, in actuality, Jane's video was simply not extreme enough to justify the school's disciplinary actions, and it didn't affect much at the school. Nothing changed in the regular course of the day. okay? So what happened to the bully, Jane, in this case? Nothing at all. So that was a California case. In New York, just a few years ago, a 13-year-old boy committed suicide at home. He shot himself with a hunting rifle. A suicide note was found several weeks later that suggested that he killed himself because he could no longer deal with the bullying by other children at school. The parents came to believe that this bullying had occurred while their son was attending school in the South Glen Falls Central School District. So they sued the school for negligent supervision and wrongful death. Several of the boy's classmates actually testified and described how they saw him being bullied at school in the period leading up to his death, as well as how they alerted school officials to the bullying. Evidence came out at trial, and it showed that several incidents involving the boy provided many, many missed opportunities for the school to uncover what was actually going on, but nothing was done. The jury found that the school was indeed negligent, but the jury determined that the boy's family was unable to prove that that negligence actually caused the boy's suicide. So, an odd scenario, but the jury said yes, the school was definitely negligent, but they couldn't attribute only that negligence to the suicide. The case was CT versus Board of Education. One more case in New York. The mother of a high school student files a claim against the school for a tuition refund after enrolling her son Craig, who was the victim of several bullying incidents. Craig wanted to leave the school, and the mother requested a tuition refund. That was denied by the school. Craig's mom sues. Here's what the student had to endure while he was there. One night in their dorm room, a group of students dumped a Gatorade-sized bucket of water on another student's bed. That student then dumps a bucket of water in the hallway as an act of retaliation, okay? Challenging the rest of them to clean it up. Following a fight in the dorm room, the brawl resumes in the gym with a large group of students circled around the two who were fighting. This became a regular event, and very often a group of 12 to 15 students barged into rooms dumping water-filled Gatorade buckets onto players' beds. They would then all retreat to the gym for a forced fight between the offender and the targeted person. So, you're sleeping in your bed, Craig's sleeping in his bed, someone comes and dumps a bucket of Gatorade on him, then everyone gets dragged to the gym for a fight, and you have to fight whether you like it or not. This was the norm at the academy before Craig withdrew as a student, okay? His mother wanted the tuition money back because of the bullying. The court there ruled that there was indeed a severe lack of proper supervision, that her son was seriously injured, and that he withdrew from the program because he did not feel safe. And further, that the school could not assure the parent that they had the ability to protect her son in the future. Craig's mother received a partial reimbursement in the amount of $5,000. That's it. I mean, you know, that's surely not justice. But I mean, in law school, one of the most important lessons you learn is that the right to sue is the alternative to using force. I mean, really, what justice was there in any of these cases that we just went over? So, how do we protect our children from cyberbullying in this country? Okay. Well, here in New York, we actually have bullying and cyberbullying laws. One of them is the Dignity Act, which we'll discuss. New York anti-bullying laws and regulations include the following definitions of harassment, bullying, and cyberbullying. Harassment and bullying is the creation of a hostile environment by conduct, threats, intimidation, or abuse, including cyberbullying that A, has or would have the effect of unreasonably and substantially interfering with the student's educational performance, opportunities, mental, emotional, or physical well-being, or B, reasonably causes or would reasonably be expected to cause a student to fear for his or her physical safety, or C, reasonably causes or would reasonably be expected to cause physical injury or emotional harm to a student, or D, occurs off of school property and creates or would foreseeably create a risk of substantial disruption within the school environment, where it is foreseeable that the conduct, threats, intimidation, or abuse might reach school property. So guys, do New York and anti-bullying laws cover cyberbullying that occurs off campus? Yes, they absolutely do. New York anti-bullying laws cover off-campus conduct that creates or would foreseeably create a risk of substantial disruption within the school environment, where it is foreseeable that that conduct the threats, the intimidation, or the abuse might reach school property, okay? So, what are the policy requirements for schools to prevent and respond to bullying behavior? Well, New York school districts must establish and implement procedures to create a school environment that is free from harassment, bullying, and discrimination. Okay? School district policies must contain key policy and procedural elements, including, okay, they must designate a school employee responsible for receiving reports of harassment, bullying, and discrimination. There must be procedures for reporting, investigations, and documentations of incidents of bullying. Requirements exist for the school to take prompt actions reasonably calculated to end the harassment and the bullying, or to eliminate any hostile environment, and to create a more positive school culture and climate, and to prevent the reoccurrence of the behavior. Prohibitions against retaliation against any person who reports harassment, bullying, or discrimination. Strategies to prevent harassment, bullying, and discrimination. Requirements for notification of law enforcement for any incident, bullying, or discrimination that constitutes criminal conduct, and requirements for how the district policy will be publicized within the district. So, do New York anti-bullying laws and regulations include protections for specific groups of people? Yes. New York anti-bullying laws prohibit acts of harassment and bullying that include acts based on a person's race, color, weight, national origin, ethnic group, religion, religious practice, disability, sexual orientation, gender, or sex. And that list is not exclusive, okay? It can go on and on. New York schools that receive federal funding are required by federal law to address discrimination on a number of different personal characteristics. And so, do New York anti-bullying laws and regulations encourage or require districts to implement bullying prevention programs or strategies? Absolutely. New York school districts and their policies must include a school strategy to prevent harassment and bullying and discrimination. And they may provide students in grades K through 12 instructions designed to promote the proper and safe use of the internet. So, do New York anti-bullying laws encourage or require districts to train teachers and other school staff on how to respond to bullying incidents? Yes. New York school district policies must include training programs to discourage bullying, and training programs must be designed, A, to raise the awareness and sensitivity of school employees to potential bullying, B, to enable employees to prevent and respond to it, okay? And now, the criminal statutes that apply to cyberbullying. A bully who repeatedly commits acts that are intended to annoy a victim may face harassment charges. Harassment is broken into several categories in New York, okay? Depending on the seriousness of the bully's actions, the penalties can increase the more severe they are. For example, if the acts are meant to seriously annoy the victim, but do not place the victim in actual harm or in fear, the bully may be charged with harassment in the second degree. However, okay, and here's where it scales up. If the acts are meant to put the victim in fear of physical injury, the crime may fall into a more serious category, harassment in the first degree, and both of these crimes may be bumped up to aggravated harassment when certain forces exist. So, one important example of an aggravating factor is when the offense was a hate crime, okay? A hate crime occurs when the defendant, the bully, commits an act because of the victim's race, gender, religion, age, sexual orientation, or other similar categories. Bullying can also be charged under one of several categories of stalking when the offense includes repeated acts meant to put the victim in fear or mental and physical harm, okay? The least serious stalking violation in New York is charged as a fourth degree stalking, and that moves up in seriousness through third, second, and first degree stalking depending on certain factors, okay? Examples of increasing factors for stalking include where a defendant who's 21 or older bullies a victim who's younger than 14. So an aggravated stalking, if you're 21 plus and you bully someone 14 or younger, that becomes an aggravated stalking immediately. Or when the bully has had prior stalking violations, okay? Or bullying that includes threats to commit certain sex crimes, automatically aggravated. Or if a bully threatens to use a weapon, automatically aggravated, okay? So, how is cyberbullying punished in these instances? Okay. A bully convicted of a criminal offense may face fines, imprisonment, or both. Uh, these penalties vary, of course, according to the severity of the crime. So, for harassment, the least serious form of this crime, is a second-degree harassment, which is a violation. Violations may incur fines, but in no event do they incur jail time, okay? A first-degree harassment is more serious and is a Class B misdemeanor, not a violation, it's a misdemeanor, which incurs a fine of up to $500 and 3 months in jail, or both in some instances. If aggravated circumstances exist at the time of the offense, the crime may be charged as an aggravated harassment in the second degree, which is a Class A misdemeanor, okay, which incurs up to 1 year in jail, or an aggravated harassment in the first degree, which is a Class E felony, and that may include a fine of up to $5,000 and up to 4 years in prison, or both, okay? So the worst cases of harassment can get you up to 4 years in prison. That would be a felony harassment, okay? Aggravated harassment in the first degree. So now we'll go to stalking. A fourth degree stalking is a Class B misdemeanor, which can increase to a Class A misdemeanor or a Class C felony, just like harassment, okay? For the most serious stalking offenses, though, the crime is first degree stalking, which is a Class D felony and can include up to 7 years in prison, okay? So aside from the criminal penalties, we have civil lawsuits here. A victim may sometimes bring a civil action against the bully for the emotional, social, or financial harm caused by cyberbullying. In civil court, a judge or a jury may award money damages to be paid to the victim to offset the cost of therapy for the emotional trauma that the bully may have caused, and possibly to pay for property damage caused by the bullying or the crime. So let's get into cyberbullying a little bit more, okay? Cyberbullying is really interesting because it can be way more disruptive than face-to-face bullying, because abuse that occurs electronically has unique characteristics. It can be constant. It can be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The internet provides a much wider audience for abuse, especially on social media websites, right? Where posts never really go away, and they can come back to haunt victims and bullies for years after the incident. It may even affect potential future employment opportunities, as more employers are now using internet searches to screen job applicants, right? What I'm really saying is that the schoolyard bully is usually pretty easy to identify, right? But cyberbullies are not so easy to identify. They hide behind anonymous or fake accounts, fake profiles on social media. I mean, they live behind the shield of anonymity. A bully that's hiding behind the shield of the internet is usually bolder and crueler than he or she would ever dare be if he were face to face with the victim in person, right? So, what can you teach your children about protecting themselves? Well, you can explain that the bullying does not always happen in person. Cyberbullying is the type of bullying that happens online or through text messages or emails or social media. Always think about what you post. You never know what someone will share. Teaching your kids that, being kind to others online will help to keep you safe as well. Don't share anything that could hurt or embarrass anyone. Keep your password a secret from other children, even if they're your friends. That's your password. It's not for anybody else. Let your parents have their passwords. Think about who sees what you post online. Strangers, friends, friends of friends. What are your privacy settings there? Let your parents or your friends follow you. Your parents care about you. They want you to be safe. They also want to see what you're doing. Let them follow you. If you have something, you talk to an adult who you trust about any messages you get or things you see online that may make you sad or scared or angry. If it's cyberbullying, tell someone. Okay, a lot of children don't talk about cyberbullying, but you have to teach them to tell someone. So here's a few helpful websites for parents who are dealing with it and dealing with cyberbullying and bullying and have no idea how to handle it. One of my favorites is www.stopbullyingnow.com. It's led by author and speaker Dan Davis, who provides advice for both parents and students on how to prevent and take action against cyberbullying. Another one is www.safekids.com, which actually provides contracts that parents and students sign to agree on how to safely use the internet. And finally, cyberbullying.org has a ton of resources as well. So, guys, you know, this is a pretty sensitive topic. I mean, I have little kids, so I think it's great that we're talking about this. And just want to thank you all for joining me this week. I hope you found this information useful, and I look forward to seeing you next week on Facebook Friday Live. If you have any questions or comments, you can throw them into the chat here, and I'll get to it now. If you want to contact me privately, you can reach me at www.pnlawyers.com, or you can just call me on my cell phone at 347-400-8194. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful.